Hey, Final Siren podcast, boys. Is that the sentiments that you're sharing this weekend in the Queensland Derby this weekend, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, probably. Probably not the best picture to sum it up, but
Well, you know what? The girls in that photo, Reece Walsh, you guys, you know what? I hope you guys go to the fridge this weekend and you find. Howdy, everyone. It's Sam. Welcome back to the Wobble and Jaw Sports channel. This is the Ace High Tips Show. If you're new around here, I hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. If you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Yes, the Final Siren podcast, boys, are here to help me get through round 2 of the 2023 fixture. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Starting with you, Lockie, mate. How are you? Good to have you back again, mate.
Yeah, I'm good. Good to be here. Big week of footy once again after a cracking round 1, but keen to go again. Thanks for having us.
We do. Yeah, man. And Noah, mate, you're the enemy this weekend, bro. But how are you doing?
I'm doing really good, thanks, mate. Thanks again, like Lachlan said, for having us on. We always appreciate being on your channel, and I'm looking forward to many more collabs to come in the future. But for this week, the Cowboys are the enemy, so a few harsh words might go around the stream.
Good. And for the first time, I'm meeting you, Davos, mate. It's nice to interact with you. Been a fan of your work on the Final Siren podcast as well, mate. How the hell are you? And thank you for giving us some time to talk some footy tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Sammy. I appreciate being on here, and thank you very much. I'm good, mate. Glad to have footy back, and can't wait for another round of footy to come.
Now we got Faraz that's been struck down by the dodo bird as well, but he's going to come on in the next couple of minutes. But Faraz is going to be joining us. He's just having a couple of technical difficulties, though. So just to before we get into the tips, I know you just touched on it there, everybody, but just Noah, your reaction to the footy being back this past weekend. I personally, it's one of the best opening rounds that I've ever seen, Noah.
That was a way to start the NRL season. I mean, I think 4 of the games played had field goals, I believe, or something close to that. I think there was obviously the Melbourne Storm versus Parramatta game, which went to Golden Point first game of the season. It was a brilliant way to start the NRL season, and I'm looking forward to seeing if round 2 can back it up.
Absolutely. Davos, mate, what was your reaction to round 1? Any key talking points or anything controversial that you might want to touch on quickly, or just how good was it, mate?
Yeah, it was a bloody cracking round to start the season off. Obviously, very happy with my Melbourne Storm getting up against Para. It was a terrific game going to Golden Point. Same with the Broncos and Panthers. I was very happy the Broncos beat the Panthers. And there weren't many blowouts except for Seagulls versus Bulldogs, and the Dolphins. They came to the comp and they surprisingly beat the Roosters. I was shocked at that. Like I didn't expect it to happen, and it just did. So yeah, it was a great first round of footy.
Oh, the Dolphins shut up about 90% of the rugby league community this past weekend. Lockie, mate, what was your reaction to round 1?
Oh, I mean, you can't complain. It's always good to have footy back. It all kicked off on the Thursday night with the Golden Point, and then I actually missed the Broncos game. I was on the way to Brisbane myself. Lucky I wasn't driving. I would have put us into a pylon, but it was an absolutely unreal round 1. Dolphins, again, Felice Kafusi put Brandon Smith back where he wanted him. And I mean, it will go into round 2. We'll see what it brings.
And now we bring in the final cog to the machine of the Final Siren podcast. Faraz, mate, can you hear us loud and clear? Let me
Yes,
get
I can,
this
sir.
to you as well.
Yes, I can. Yeah,
What was
glad
your
to be on
reaction
here.
to round one, Faraz? What was your reaction to round one, mate?
Yeah, look, it definitely left a lot of surprises there, a lot of shock results, a lot of like controversy, that's for sure. Look, it was a great round for sure. Dolphins stayed at the moment of the round. Congratulations to them. Can't wait for round two. The footy's back.
Yes, mate. And again, thank you very much for your time, mate. So let's get stuck straight into round two. And there are a couple of really juicy games this weekend. So, Lockie, mate, starting off with you, can you give us the odds, please, for the very first game of round two? That is the Penrith Panthers versus the South Sydney Rabbitohs, mate.
So Panthers are favourites, as we all thought they would be, going in $1.50 to the Rabbitohs, $2.60. I think I'll be backing Penrith. Brian Tyler, $1.89 for an anytime try scorer as well. So, I mean, he's pretty safe usually, but it's going to be a cracking game. There's talk Latrell Mitchell could be out, but we'll have to see what that brings leading up to the game on Thursday.
Well,
But-
let's get into the team listeners as well and see what it is. So, Lockie, you go first, mate, for Penrith.
Okay, so lining up at fullback, Mr. Consistent, Dylan Edwards on the wing. I might butcher his name here, number 2, but Suni Turiva? Taruva.
Yep.
Sorry, my pronunciation's off with him. But Brian Tolt on the other wing, Isaac Tago and Stephen Crichton in the centres, Mr. Jerome Luai, Cobbo's son at number 6, Nathan Cleary at 7, Moses Leota, James Fisher-Harris at the front row, Mitch Kenny at hooker, Luke Garner, Liam Martin, their weapons in that back row there, and Isaiah Yeo, also Mr. Consistent. Sonny Luke coming off at 14 as the utility, with an in for this round as Scott Sorensen is out. Matt Eisenhuth will come into the 15, Spencer Linu at 16, and Jermaine Salmon, who loves an argument post-game on the field, at 17. 18th man will be Zach Hoskin, sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lockie. And then shifting to the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and that man, Latrell Mitchell, has been named. And then the wingers for them, Isaac Tui Tupo Thompson and Alex Johnston. Isaiah Tass and Campbell Graham are the centres. Cody Walker and Lachlan Ilias are the halves pairing. The forwards, Daniel Saluka Fafita comes in for Tafita Totola, who suffered a terrible head knock in the first play of the game last weekend. Thomas Burgess in jersey 10. Damien Cook in the hooker position. Kaon Kolamatangi, Michael Cheekham, and Cameron Murray round out the back row. Cheekham coming in for an injured Jai Arrow. The interchange bench reads Blake Taff, Jed Cartwright, Davey Mawali, and Shaquai Mitchell, with Tallis Duncan being named as 18th man. Davos, mate, I got a question for you about the Penrith Panthers. Last weekend, we saw Mitch Kenny start the first 50-odd minutes of the game, and then Sonny Luke eventually shifted his bits to come on. How would you have done it this weekend? Would you have started Sonny Luke, or are you looking to maybe cut down Mitchell Kenny's minutes this weekend, Davos?
I reckon you cut down Mitch Kenny's minutes because I feel like Sonny Luke, when he comes on against some tired middle forwards, will do the most damage. As you can see, his speed in the ruck and the ball that he'll give to Cleary and Luai and all of his other outside backs is just lethal. And Mitch Kenny can start off, just take the sting out of the game, and then Sonny Luke can come on and provide some impact and much needed speed to the Panthers team.
So you reckon that, because I think Mitch Kenny should be starting. He took a lot of the shit tackles out, or took the sting out of the game, helping Sonny Luke to come on with a hell of a lot more energy. So that's the way that you'd go about it too, Davos?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, dude. So Noah, going off to you now, man. Another Penrith Panthers question, but this time in the back row. So Luke Garner is in there at jersey number 11. Zach Hosking, the young man who has shifted from the Brisbane Broncos. I'd love to get your opinion on Zach Hosking and whether or not you think maybe Hosking should have come in this weekend, if Luke Garner should hold his spot. What do you reckon the second row position for Penrith should look like over the next couple of weeks, mate?
For me, Penrith have made the right decision at the moment. I'd have Luke Garner at 11, Liam Martin at 12, and I do like that. The one problem I do have with the team, though, is I reckon Jamin Salmon should exit out of the team and bring Zach Hosking onto the 17 role. I reckon he'd do a phenomenal job. coming on the field. I'm not sure he might come on for instance, Liam Martin. Liam Martin is capable of doing a job at front row, in my opinion. We've seen the sort of the aggression he plays with. Really, he's a really good player, and I reckon he could do the job. So for me, Zach Hosking has to fit into the 17, but they have it right at the moment.
And Faraz, mate, so there's a two-team question here that I want to ask you, Faraz, mate. So last weekend, the Penrith Panthers got kicked out of the game by your man Adam Reynolds, bro. Adam Reynolds basically kicked 250, 300 meters more than the entire Penrith Panthers side, basically. It was something like 700 to about 300 kicking meters as well. My question to you is, Faraz, you look at young Lachlan Ilias and you look at the experienced Cody Walker. Lachlan Ilias, mate, he had a great game last weekend, but do you think Lachlan Ilias's kicking game is going to be to be big enough? Do you think he can get the kicking meters enough to help South Sydney really get into the game this weekend?
Well, this is an interesting one, man, because Ilias is more of like a ball running sort of player. He can attack the line well. I haven't seen much of Ilias kicking out long and deep. Like, whereas you got Adam Reynolds, probably one of the best kicking players in the game right now. His short kicking game is awesome. Ilias probably lacks a bit of variety from me at this current moment. I think you would probably see Cody Walker take more ownership as he's more experienced. I think Ilias is sort of more of the ball-playing halfback right now with his running game. Cleary is just one of the best halves at the moment right now. It's hard to see where Ilias goes with this, but they're definitely capable as a team. But to answer your question, I don't personally think so. He can match it with Cleary, but hopefully he can, because he needs to step up if they are to win this contest.
I agree. I just need to see it. He's still so fresh and young, but I do need to see just a little bit more from Lachlan Ilias to be convinced of how good his kicking game really can be. But no doubt, as you just said, man, for halfback, his running game is really, really good. Lachlan, back to you now, man. I'm looking at the interchange bench for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, bro, when they've got Blake Taaffe in their jersey number 14. I'm actually a big fan of Peter Mamazula, so I really hope that he gets more minutes or gets a few more games this year compared to last year. Would you have gone for Blake Taaffe on the interchange bench, or would you have gone for Peter Mamazoulis? What's your opinion on the interchange bench as a whole as well, mate?
I think the interchange bench is where it's going to hurt him this weekend. The experience there isn't the greatest, as we can see by the names there. I think Blake Taaffe is one of those players where he's very hit and miss. He either shows up for a whole game or he goes missing. But I think going up against Penrith at number 14 is probably a good option for him, depending if Latrell's fine. Because, I mean, if Latrell's not okay, you could probably see Tane Milne or someone coming in and they'll switch the back line up. But I think for now it looks okay. It's still early days in the competition, so it's hard to know what Blake Taaffe is looking like this year or compared to last year.
Definitely. He is a talent, but yeah, he is a little bit hit and miss. Maybe that's a little bit unfair because we do need to see a little bit more of him. So just a couple of stats before we get into your tips now, gentlemen. This will be the 93rd meeting between the two clubs, and South Sydney lead the ledger by 3 wins, 47-44. But Penrith Panthers have won 4 in a row. And then since 2018, they've won 10 games from 12. So since 2018, they've won 10 out of the 12 contests as well. South's last one in Penrith in 2019, which wasn't all that long ago. But an interesting couple of stats as well. If Latrell Mitchell does play this weekend, it will be his 50th match for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. And Cody Walker has scored 6 tries in the past 7 meetings against the Penrith Panthers. So he's got a little bit of their measure, and he is lining up against the likes of Stephen Crichton and Brian Toto. And Stephen Crichton, to start the year, in my opinion, gentlemen, has started on the back foot. He has not been quite as impressive. Also, Herbie Farnworth, I'm sure you guys are chomping at the bit to talk about Herbie Farnworth. He scored a double on Crichton and Toto's edges. So for an anytime try scorer, I'm going to back Cody Walker in to be an anytime try scorer. And I think Sunia Turuva is going to score a try as well, because he's got a hell of a lot more pace than Isaac Thompson, who got ran down by Ronaldo Mulitalo this past weekend. So I'm going to back the Penrith Panthers one more time It's going to be 1-12, and we're going to go Cody Walker and Sunia Taruva to be an anytime try scorer. Lockie, what's your tip this weekend?
I'm going Panthers. See, this is where it depends. I think if Latrell's playing 1-12, if Latrell's out, it'll be 13 plus. I think Panthers, they've lost to St. Helens and now the Broncos back to back. We don't see that back up against the wall very often, so we're expecting a big bounce back somewhere. So I'll go, at the moment as it stands, I'll go Penrith 1-12, and I'll go Liam Martin to crash over, and I've got Brian Toto, $1.79. So, I mean, that's pretty good odds. I feel like Toto has had a dry patch here at the moment as well for try scoring, so I think he's due for a couple.
Yo, Noah, what about yourself, mate? What's the tip this weekend?
I'm not too sure if any of the other boys will agree with me, but I've got the Rabbitohs winning this one 1-12. I think, but that is purely based on the fact that Latrell Mitchell plays. I mean, like Lachlan said, if he doesn't play, I've probably got Panthers. I'll go Panthers 1-12 if he doesn't play. Obviously, the Rabbitohs they're placed at $2.33. That's some good odds for South Sydney. But yeah, for me, Rabbitohs 1-12. I think anytime try scorer. I liked the stat you brought up about Cody Walker, so I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. I think he'll probably crash over this game.
Yo, thank you, man. And for Raz, what's your tip this weekend?
This is an interesting one for me because Rabbitohs tend to show up against the Panthers. They're out for revenge after that prelim, but the Panthers, they've already lost 2 in a row. The media's just bashing them. A lot of people said that the Broncos match that was the worst time to play the Panthers. You could argue this is the worst time for them because they're going to be so determined and hungry. I want to tip the Rabbitohs, but being in Penrith, I just can't see them losing 3 in a row there. I'm going to go Panthers 1-12, but I'm actually going to go Cody Walker for anytime try scorer. He loves finding the line, not even just against Penrith. He scores a lot of tries. So I reckon Cody Walker. And for Penrith, I'm going to go Crichton for a try. I think I'll have a good game.
Okay, and what about yourself, Davos?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Noah, actually. I've got the Rabbitohs 1-12, but that is purely because if Latrell Mitchell plays. If he doesn't play, then I've got Panthers 1-12. Look, it'll be a good game. I know the last time that the Rabbitohs did play the Panthers in that prelim, for the first around 20 minutes, when Uppy was on the bench, the Panthers were rattled. Like, I've not seen a Panthers team this rattled since like when they were around 10th in 2019. But when Uppy came on, they completely dominated. But now the Panthers do not have Uppy. So it'll be interesting to see how they adapt to not having Uppy there to provide Luai and Cleary some quality service out of dummy half. But I've got Souths 1-12. I've got Cody Walker as anytime try scorers. I like the stat that you've brought up. He loves playing the Panthers. And I've got Brian Toto as well to crash over for a try.
Alrighty, so by the sounds of things, we're split down the middle on who's going to win, but we reckon Walker, Crichton, Toto are going to crash over, but I'm also tipping Sunia Taruva as well. So we're split down the middle, which is great. A nice conversation to start off with now. So the second game, or the first game on Friday Night Football, is an absolute beauty considering the time slot as well. The Parramatta Eels, Noah, are hosting the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks from CommBank Stadium. What are the odds for this one, please, Noah?
So the Eels are placed at $1.58 using Sportsbet here, and the Sharks $2.40. I think that's a bit harsh on the Sharks, to be completely honest. I know they don't have Nico Hines this week, but the Eels, I mean, while it did go to Golden Point next week, it was against a very heavily injured Melbourne Storm team. Honestly, I reckon the odds should be pretty much 50-50, but I mean, that's just the way Sportsbet have gone about it. But I think if you're putting a bet on the Sharks, you'll be getting a bit of money back possibly.
Oh, it's very nice odds, mate. Now, Noah, can you please take us through the Parramatta Eels side, please?
Will do. So at fullback, Clint Gutherson. On the wings, you got Mike Acevo and Sean Russell. In the centres, you got Will Penasini and Wonga Blake. In the halves, you've got Dylan Brown and Mitchell Moses. The front row is Regan Campbell-Gillard and Junior Barlaw. At hooker, you've got Josh Hodgson. In the second row, you've got Bryce Cartwright and Matt Dory. Jermaine Hopgood locks the scrum. And then you've got Jeremiah Mazia, Jack Murchie, Wiramu Greg, Makahesi Makatoa, and 18th man is Jake Arthur.
And Davos, please, bro, can you take us through the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks lineup?
Yep, so at fullback, we've got William Kennedy. On the wings, we've got Sione Katoa and Ronaldo Mulatalo. In the centers, we've got Jesse Ramian and Siosifa Talakai. In the halves, we have Matt Moylan and Braden Trindle. In the front row, we have got Toby Ridolph and Brandon Hamlin-Ueli. At hooker, we've got Blake Brayley. In the second row, we've got Brendan Nakora and Teague Wilton. Locking the scrum is Dale Finucane. On the interchange, we have got Cameron McInnes, Royce Hunt, Oregon Kafusi, and Connor Tracy. And 18th man is Thomas Hazelton.
Thank you very much, mate. Now, this game is the 91st meeting between Parramatta and Cronulla have a 6-win lead in this ledger. It's 48-42 in favour of the Sharkies. Parramatta have won 2 of the past 3 encounters, and 2 of the games, whether it be the Sharks have won that game or Parramatta, 2 of the past 3 games have been decided by 2 points or less. Cronulla Sutherland Sharks CommBank record is 2-2, but they've only played Parramatta once at CommBank Stadium, and that was a 28 points to 4 loss, a big 13 plus points loss. This will also be Mitchell Moses' 200th game this weekend. So you'd reckon he'd be fit and fired up, because for Raz, mate, starting with you, I reckon Mitch Moses and Dylan Brown really let down Clinton Gutherson and even more so Josh Hodgson last weekend, bro.
Yeah, can I just also add an interesting stat there? So we've talked about Moses. This is his 200 game. Congratulations to him. In every milestone game he's played his 50 in a row game, he's played his 100th in a row game, 150, 200. He's lost all of those games. So he's looking down to turn the clock. I think Andrew Voss tweeted that on Twitter. So that's an interesting stat right there. But look, last week was a tough night for Moses, Brown, and Gutherson. But to be fair, I think Hodkinson's services did let them down. Moses' kicking game wasn't the same. Brown had a shocking match as well. Towards the end, he couldn't control the game at all. Moses was nowhere to be seen. Gutherson was a bit limited in attack, and that's how Melbourne won the game. Yeah, this week this is crucial because there's no Nico Hines. The Sharks are a different outside without him. They're still struggling to find their combinations. Trindle's a good player, but Hines is the daily So Moses and Brown have to take ownership, and Moses has to. A lot of people back Moses, but on his day, he's one of the hardest players to contain with his kicking game. So no doubt he'll be up for this.
Davos, mate, want to ask you a question about the interchange work that Coach Brad Arthur did last weekend. He had Junior Polo play an extreme amount of minutes. He did not use Makahisi Makatoa at all. I think Brad Arthur is a huge reason as to why they lost last weekend, bro. And they only used about, 8 interchanges last weekend. They didn't use the full complement, bro. So you reckon that this weekend Brad Arthur is going to be a lot smarter in the interchange, or do you think someone like Makahisi Makatoa is going to continue to sit there on the bench as 17th man and just pick his nose?
Well, I think Polo did play a few too many minutes. I mean, I got the stats up here. He played 68 minutes. Look, as a front rower, like even the best front rowers like Payne Haas and Fisher Harris, they're not playing around 70 minutes. They're playing around 60 to even 55 minutes because they want quality over quantity. Look, I think Makahisi Makatoa is a very good player, and I feel like he doesn't deserve to be playing 0 minutes. He should be getting around 30 minutes just to provide Polo a chop out, because there's no point having a tired middle forward in there when you've got the likes. Well, this week they've got Blake Brayley, who's a very smart hooker, and if he sees tired middle forwards, he's going to go and attack. So I feel like Brad Arthur needs to be a lot smarter with his bench this week and actually use. The whole point of having a bench is providing impact and giving your starting middles and edge forwards a rest. So I feel like Brad Arthur needs to be a lot smarter this week if the Eels are going to beat the Sharks.
Lockie, mate, what was your opinion on Braden Trindle this past weekend? I reckon he was good for maybe 60 minutes of the game, and then unfortunately, I feel like, maybe I might be wrong, but he definitely faded out as well, bro. So I know that there's nothing else that they really could do, bro, but how do you think Braden Trindle went last weekend, and do you trust him to do just as good a job this weekend, bro?
I mean, he's filling the shoes of a Dalian medal winner, but with the likes of the back rowers that he's got, you've got Nakora and Wilton there. It's hard to know. I mean, he's got talent, don't get me wrong, but Sharks are that team at the moment that they're on that next level where they just need a halfback to stick around for him. Matt Moylan, we know that he's good at phases as well. I remember the last time, it was probably mid last season, that he actually played a full game, that he was actually solid in Matt Moylan. So it's hard to know. I think if he can get I think Blake Brayley holds the key to opening Trindle again. It'd be interesting to see, but I think Trindle this weekend, he definitely has to take it up another step, because as much as Moses and Brown were a bit slack in round one, we know that they're going to step it up another level very soon. So it's down to Trindle and Moylan, but definitely I think, well, we all know once Hines comes back, he's out of the team anyway. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Noah, now going to you, bro. I'm looking at the second row battles here. And look, I think Bryce Cartwright and Matt Dury, while they're not the starting second rowers for Parramatta naturally, I still think Matt Dury and Bryce Cartwright actually held their own quite decently this past weekend. But I think Britton Decora and Teague Wilton, at some stage this year, are going to have a massive case to say that they are the best second row combination in the competition. How do you think the second row or back row battle is going to go this weekend?
Well, I mean, like you said, I think Bryce Cartwright and Matt Dory both had pretty good games last week. Bryce Cartwright, I think he ran for over 150 meters, which is, I mean, that's good stats. And he made like 28 tackles or something like that. Pretty much sort of somewhere up near there for Dory as well. But I think Nikora is the best second rower out of those four there. And I think Teague Wilton is going to be very good. I think he's in for a good year this year. I think the Cronulla Sharks second rowers, they'll win the battle. But, I mean, if they slack on the fact that the Eels second rowers aren't always in the team, they could be looking in for a tough night because Bryce Cartwright and Matt Dory, they're no slouches. I'm
looking at the interchange bench, and I think that holds the key for the Cronulla Sharks. I'm going to get into my tips now, and Gerard Momosia, Jack Murchie, Wirra McGregor, Makahisi Makatoa versus Cameron McInnes, Royce Hunt, Oregon Kolfusi, and then a little bit of X factor with Connor Tracy coming into the mix as well, man. I think that is a much better interchange. I think they have a better back row if you include Dale Finucane, even though Jermaine Hopgood at lock last weekend was outstanding. I'm going to tip the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks to get a 1-12 points victory this Friday night. And my anytime try scorers, I'm going to go Ronaldo Mulatalo because he's lining up on the youngster Sean Russell, and Isaac Lumi has, I don't know if it's a dropping, it probably might be, but he wasn't very good defensively. That's down Mulatalo's edge, who is an expert. So I'm going to go Mulatalo. And you know what? It's kind of an omen. I guess it is an omen. Mitch Moses will also score a try in his 200th game. They put me neck out there big time, but I'm going to go Mitch Moses and Ronaldo Mulatalo to score an anytime try. But I am going to tip the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks over the Parramatta Eels because I think defensively they're going to be sounder. And I just was a little bit more impressed by them in attack. Even though Parramatta were wild, they were a little bit too wild last weekend for my liking. Davos, mate, what is going to happen in this Friday night encounter?
Yeah, look, this is a cracking game to open up Friday night. I've actually got the Eels 1-12. I think the loss of Nico Hines. Look, I know Trindle did a good job last week, but when you've got the halves pairing of Dylan Brown and Moses, they don't have off games every game. They probably have once every maybe 10 weeks. But the fact that the Eels have these types of players, it just makes me want to tip them. And for any time try scorer, I've got Ronaldo Mulatalo because, like you said, he's lining up on Sean Russell. And I also have Dylan Brown going over for a meat pie. So, yeah.
Ooh, similar. Okay, then, Lockie, mate, what's your tip this weekend?
I'm actually going similar to Davos. I've got the Eels. I'm not going to give a margin because I'm not sure. This could go either way. It could be 1-12, could be 13+. So, but I do have Dylan Brown going over as well. I think he'll find his way to the line. And for the Sharks, got Jesse Ramian to crash over. We know how strong he is in the centres. I believe he will be on Warner Blake, which, you know, Warner Blake can be a bit iffy in defensive line. So we'll go with Jesse Ramian for the Sharks.
Faraz, mate, what about you?
Yeah, look, I'm not really a big fan of the Eels. I hope Sharks win, but I'm actually going to go to the Eels. And you know what? Let's go 13+. I think at Parramatta, I think they're sort of that side where you don't know what they're going to produce. They've come off a loss now. I feel like now a lot of people might just doubt them slightly. I think that's when they'll play their best. I think Eels win 13+ by 14. I think Hines is still a big loss. And I reckon both the centers score. I think Talakai's going to score for Sharks anytime. And I've got Will Penasee crashing up for Parramatta.
Wow, 13+, mate. Well, man, good on you for putting your neck out like that. Noah, what about yourself?
Don't agree with that at all. I'm going to stick with you, Sam. I'm going to go Sharks. I'm going to go Sharks 1-12. I think it'll be. I feel like it'll be a better game than people expect. People are looking at the fact that Nico Hines is out, and I feel like they're writing off the Sharks. Plus, Faraz, you mentioned that stat about Mitchell Moses, and I sort of can't get it out of my head now. I need to. I think last
I'm not
week,
really. I
obviously,
wouldn't be surprised if the Sharks win. It's just sort of that gut feeling with Parramatta. You just don't know what they do every week.
yeah. I mean, and that's for sure. That's a for sure thing because I mean, last week the Storm have that stat going where they still haven't lost a round one game in what is it 20 odd years. So, but I think the Mitchell Moses stat will prove costly. I feel like they'll lose, and I've probably got. I reckon Clint Gutherson goes over for the Eels, and for the Sharks, I'm going to go Matt Moylan to get one.
Alrighty, love it. I love it. Now, let's get to the main event this friggin' weekend, ladies and gentlemen. As far as I am concerned, there is nothing else happening. Broncos versus Cowboys on Friday night, and if you don't mind me saying, yours truly is going to attend Suncorp Stadium for the first time in his life. I am so excited to tick this one off my bucket list. Faraz, mate, have you got the odds here for the Broncos versus Cowboys?
Oh, I'm just going to go with sports, but I'm not sure if this is accurate. But according to sports, the Broncos are paying favorites at $1.80, and the Cows just outsiders at $2.
Alrighty, Faraz. Now, I'll give me half a second. Mate, can you please take us through the Brisbane Broncos lineup, please, mate?
Yeah, sure thing, mate. So our fullback lineup in his debut for the Broncos is Reece Walsh, Corey Oates on the wing, Katoni Staggs, who'd be followed with the centre pairings, Selwyn Cobbo on the other side of the wing, Ezra Mam Reynolds part of the halves. In the forward pack, Corey Jensen, Billy Wattles will start at number 9, Payne Haas, Kurt Capel, Jordan Ricky, Pat Carrigan, and on the interchange bench, you got Corey Pakes, Keenan Palacia, Thomas Flegler, and Marty Tapat to round out the 17.
And Jesse Arthurs has been demoted to 18th man, unfortunate. So if you guys don't mind, North Queensland line up like this. Scott Drinkwater is that fullback. Kyle Felt and Murray Taulagi are the winger pairing. Holmes and Hiku are the centre pairing. Dearden and Townsend are the half and 5'8". Jordan McLean, Ruben Cotter, the front rowers with Reece Robson in at hooker. Cohen Hess, Jeremiah Nanai, Jason Tamalolo are the back row. Jake Granville, Griffin Neem, Jermaine Tainua-Brown, and James Tarmo are the interchange bench. Brendan Elliott is the 18th man. Once again, they are unchanged from last weekend. And look, this is the 59th meeting between the two clubs. Brisbane Broncos have a heavy stat in their favour, winning 16 more games overall. But North Queensland have won the past 2 encounters and 4 of the past 5 meetings between the Broncos and the Cowboys. And on every single occasion that the Cowboys won those 4 from 5 matches, they were able to score at least 32 points. So they've been able to crack the code as far as attack goes in a Broncos-Cowboys matchup. But in saying that, though, they did leak 20 points. So the stats would say over the past 5 meetings that this is going to be high scoring. But Dave Voss, bro, I would tend to suggest, and I don't know what your opinion is, we'll find out in a sec, but I think this is going to be a lot more defensively orientated this weekend, bro.
Yeah, I agree with you with that stat. I mean, we can both see the teams there and how much attacking flair they both have in the forwards and in the backs. For me, it comes down to which team defends the most. And for me, as you look at that team, you can see there are a lot of good defensive players such as Peter Hiku and Val Holmes in the centers and Drinkwater at fullback. They're both very good, all good defensive players. For the Broncos, you've got Herbie Farnworth, who's absolutely terrific in defense. Adam Reynolds, probably one of the best defensive halves in the comp. And it's the battle of the forward packs. I mean, as you can see there, both forward packs are absolutely terrific. I'd have them in my top 5 forward packs, and I can't wait for this game. I've got this as game of the round, to be honest.
Oh, man, that's so cool to hear. Noah, mate, your Brisbane Broncos. Let's hear it, mate. Let's get your reaction to that famous win down at Bluebet Stadium this past Friday night, bro. And how excited are you also to finally see Reece Walsh and Adam Reynolds combine as well?
I'm so looking forward to Reece Walsh and Adam Reynolds being in the same team. Like yourself, I'm actually going to the game as well. So I have to see you there if I end up seeing you there. But yeah, last week was just that was amazing. Last week, I can't wipe the smile off my face. I was sitting there yelling from the lounge room, hoping the Broncos ended up getting the upset, and they did. But it's such a good team. It's one of the best Broncos teams I've seen in years. But the Cowboys, I mean, they've got a great team as well, and I don't want to lose the Cowboys. I've got some family who are Cowboys fans. They're going to give me stick if Broncos lose. But I mean, if we do lose, you have to look at the team that the Cowboys have, and you think that's on paper they're definitely a top 4 team again this year.
Yo, dude, and Faraz, you being a Broncos supporter as well, mate, just your reaction to the Broncos win this past weekend, and who's a couple of players that you're really looking out for this weekend?
Yeah, very inspiring. Can't wait for it. It's going to be an interesting one, bro.
Yeah, okay then. Lockie, mate. All right, Faraz, bro. All right, I'll get back to you in a second then, mate. Lockie, bro, as a somewhat neutral, bro, how are you feeling about this weekend between Broncos Cowboys?
I can confirm I am a full Broncos fan.
Okay. I thought you were a Bulldogs fan for the longest time, bro, just because that they travelled up to Bundaberg. So you're a full-blown Broncos fan.
Yes, I've been a Broncos fan for over 10 years. So
oh, right.
I will make it clear I do despise this opposition.
I know.
I have an absolute hatred for the Cowboys.
I know.
So I'm interested to see the game. I mean, the Queensland Derby, as much as last year wasn't great for us, we did get demolished in both of those games. But I think this year writes a different story. We've got both clubs. They're coming off. Last year was improved for the Broncos. Most people didn't like it. The Cowboys had a ripping year. It'll be a one-year wonder. They won't come anywhere this year. But I'm interested. Reece Walsh, Scott Drinkwater, the battle of the fullbacks. They're both young. They're both rare. And Reynolds and Townsend. But then you look at the forward packs, and I think this is where the Broncos win. I mean, you see the Reuben Cotter, you see the Reece Robson, you see the Nanai and the Tamalolo, but you look at the likes, Payne Haas, we know how much he goes. Pat Carrigan, the Origin series, he's coming off and making the Australian squad in the World Cup. Kurt Capewell's Mr. Consistent in defence. But Reece Robson is where he can tear us apart in that middle, that's for sure. Billy Walters doesn't have the X factor that Robson carries. But I'm interested to see. I'm hoping I've got us winning 13+, but we'll see if that turns into reality.
Gee whiz.
Gee whiz is correct. I've just sent me Cowboys hitman as well into Faraz's home. That's why he keeps getting distracted. So it's working at the moment. So I agree with you. I think Reece Robson, the battle of the hookers, the points do go toward Reece Robson. But Noah, I'd like to get your reaction to this as well, mate. Over the past 3 or 4 encounters, man, Valentine Holmes has given Kotoni Staggs an absolute bath, in my opinion, bro. He was able to get a try in the preseason contests as well, bro. Kotoni Staggs versus Holmes, bro. It is a bit of a mini state of origin battle, but Valentine Holmes, bro, I think has been so good against Kotoni Staggs and well and truly does have his number this weekend.
Yeah, Valentine Holmes, he's a quality centre in this competition. I honestly think he's probably top 2. I reckon he's only just behind Joey Manu of recent, obviously based on last year's results. But Kotoni Staggs last year, I think he was dealing with a shoulder injury for quite a bit of the year. I'm not too sure if it was in the first round, in the first time they played that he had it. But I mean, Kotoni Staggs, I have a feeling he will perform better this game. But I wouldn't be surprised if Valentine Holmes scores a try.
Okay, yo. But yeah, look, the interchange bench for the North Queensland Cowboys, they did get the job done as well. I don't know. It just looks really weird, man. But I'm going to back him anyway, bro. And look, the back row battle as well. Hess, as you alluded to, Lockie, Hess, Nanai, Taumalolo versus Capewell and Ricky and Carrigan. That's going to be absolute key as well. I do think the interchange bench for the Broncos is a lot wiser and probably a little bit bigger as well. It's just going to be such a fascinating game, though, man. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And look, to rip off a bit of a quote as well from the Bloke in a Bar boys, or more specifically Rugby League Guru, and he's absolutely right, and I can't help but agree with him. Adam Reynolds versus Chad Townsend in the kicking game, Davos, is going to be so good to watch, bro. Who do you reckon you give the points to in the halves battle here, mate? Mam Reynolds or Dearden Townsend, Davos?
Oh, this is really tough. Look, obviously Ezra Mam in his first year as a Bronco, I thought he was quite good, although he had some defensive issues. That's expected as a first-year player. Adam Reynolds, we all know what we're going to get from him. There was stages last year where he was hot and cold and a bit injury-prone, but, that's what we got to expect with players. They're not always going to have good games. Last year, though, Tom Dearden was absolutely fantastic. I mean, that bloke was in the reserve, training with the reserves at the Broncos. I mean, and I didn't even have him in my best 17 last year. I had Scott Drinkwater at number 6, but he did prove me wrong, and I'm so happy for him. He's turned his career around. Chad Townsend, I mean, when he signed at the Cowboys, I honestly thought that was a horrible signing considering how much they were paying for him, and he proved me wrong, and I'm on the Chad Townsend bandwagon now. But I think, to answer your question, I think only just Townsend and Dearden get it, because I believe that Dearden is more proven than Ezra Mam, and Dearden is a very good defensive half compared to Ezra Mam. And look, the battle of the halfbacks, it's very similar, both quality players, but just based on Dearden getting over Mam, I'd have to give it to Dearden and Townsend.
Yo, dude. So there is one concern as well, and it's something that I've seen recurring over the past 4 matches since the preliminary final against the Parramatta Eels. Over the past 4 games, including the 2 preseason trials and last weekend against the Raiders, I have seen a willingness from other teams to break down the front door of the Cowboys' defensive line, in particularly Jeremiah Nanai's edge. You think about Regan Campbell-Gillard scoring a try in the preliminary final, rather softly, might I add. Kurt Capewell in that preseason trial. Emre Gula this past weekend. It's a little bit too much of a coincidence now. The opposition are focusing, lasering in on Jeremiah Nanai and his forward inside man, I think that's Jordan McLean or Jermaine Tonua-Brown. That is a key area that needs to be tightened up because, as I just said, Kurt Capewell got a try in the preseason. Corey Oates scored a try very early on. Last time these two sides met in the preseason, it was 12-0 in the blink of an eye in the space of 7 or 8 minutes, man. So that edge specifically for the North Queensland Cowboys needs to be zoned in on. But look, man, this is going to be another blockbuster. I think this is not going to be another 40-20-esque scoreline. This is going to be a lot more defensively orientated, but it's going to be a thriller. I am going to back the North Queensland Cowboys, absolutely. It's going to be very, very close. Anytime try scorer, I am going to back Valentine Holmes. I got him last week, or I didn't get him. I backed him last weekend, but I am going to do him again because he does have Katoni Stagg's number. That's it. I'm going to go Cowboys 1-12 and Valentine Holmes to score an anytime try. For Raz, mate, what's your tip in this contest?
Oh, this is going to spark some controversy, but I'm going to go the Cows 1-12 here.
Wow.
Oh, what?
I just don't know, man, with the Broncos. Like, I've been a Broncos fan ever since, and I just can't trust them on a week-to-week basis. Like, they came away with a great victory over the Panthers last week, but can I trust them to back it up and go further with it? So many times they've gone to a win streak, and then they've just come out and been smashed the next week. We've seen the late season collapse last year, so I'm trying to play that reverse card. I'm hoping to be proven wrong, but I feel like I trust the Cowboys more here, and they've recently got the wood of us, so I'll go Cows 1-12.
You should hand in your Broncos jersey, brother. Hey, fair income. Noah, come on. Let's hear it from you, mate.
Well, that's the reason Faraz wasn't wearing a Broncos jersey tonight, because he's disrespecting the club. I think it'll be very close. I personally was talking about it earlier. I think this game will go to Golden Point. That's my bold call. I think it will be decided by 1 point. I have to go the Broncos by 1. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if Cowboys win, but obviously I'm going to back my boys in. I think probably the full-time score, I reckon it'll be, like you said, I think it'll be pretty defensive. I wouldn't surprise me if the full-time score's 17-16 or something like that. I don't see too many. I don't see any more than the like 7 tries being let in this game. So for me, I think Broncos by 1 point, 17-16. I reckon will be the score, and I'm going to go Reece Walsh to score in his debut for the Broncos, and for the Cowboys, I don't know. I really like Tom Dearden to score back at Suncorp.
Yo, definitely. Hey, that 17 scoreline, Lockie, mate. Lockie, what was the score in the 2015 grand final?
I don't know. I think I got in trouble that night by Mum and I had time out or something. No, I don't think I remember it.
Tip, mate. Give us your tip, bro. I know you've already told
Okay,
half of it.
so-
Go on.
People call me an idiot. This is why I'm here for this podcast, because I make the bold calls. I do the hard runs when I need to, okay? So I've got the Broncos. I've got it 65-35% here. I don't like the Cowboys.
I thought you were saying the score, and I was like,
I think Broncos this year, I know it's been one round, but we saw it in the trials as well. They seem like they're on the same page this year. They're playing for each other. They're playing for the jersey. They're playing for the legends who have played before them. From what I saw in the Cowboys from the weekend in the second half, they nearly lost to the Canberra Faders themselves. And for this game, I actually do have a same game multi on the sports bet in front of me. So I've got the Broncos head-to-head, Selwyn Cobbo and Corey Oates for a double. I also have Scott Drinkwater to go over, and the Smoky in it. I've got Jordan Ricky. Being on Cohen Hess, the man can tire. It's going to be humid. I'm hearing it's going to be raining on Friday night. So Ricky could crash over. Throw $10 on that. You've got $1,310 back.
Oh, very nice. Very nice, mate. So you said Broncos 13 plus before?
Yeah, I do have Broncos 13 plus. I didn't put them in the multi though, but I do have them 13 plus.
Oh, strike me bloody pink. Davos, mate, to end it with you, bro. What do you reckon's going to happen Friday night?
Yeah, look, this game for me is a 50-50. I think both these teams are going to come in the top 8 at the end of the year, and it can go either way. But for me, I've got the Broncos 1-12 just. Look, I just feel like the Cowboys got kind of exposed in that second half defensively against the Raiders, whereas the Broncos were consistent for most of the game against Penrith, and they looked like they were playing for each other. For me, I've got Broncos 1-12. I've got Jeremiah Nanai as the Cowboys' anytime try scorers last year. He scored a hat trick and another try in the second game. So that was 4 tries in total against the Broncos last year. And for the Broncos, I've got Corey Oates for anytime try scorer. He scored 2 tries in the first game in the second game against the Broncos. So yeah, I think those two will crash over for a try.
Just quickly as well, man, Corey Jensen has gone bloody so much better for you blokes as well since he's left North Queensland, bro. I don't know what's in his water bottle these days, mate, but very happy for Corey Jensen these days, bro. He was I thought he was strong for you guys this past weekend. Let's shift into the next contest, guys. But before we do, I just want to say thank you very much to the Final Siren podcast boys for hanging in there with me, and thank you to the audience that are watching right now. Link to their channel will be in the description box at the conclusion of this video. Forgive me for not putting in much earlier, but it will be in the description box at the conclusion of this episode. So Lockie, mate, let's go to you now, bro. We got on Super Saturday the Roosters versus the Warriors from Allianz Stadium. What are the odds for this one, mate?
So the odds for this one: Roosters at $1.18, Warriors at $5. I think we all can see those odds happening. I mean, being in Sydney, Joey Manu's back in. We'll get into the team in a minute, but I think it's hard to say. Last weekend, everyone's speechless over it. No one knows what the heck happened there. But we also know the Roosters this year, I've got them minor premiers. So they are going to bounce back at some stage. I think it'll be this weekend. But we'll find that out through the team list. So we'll start it off at fullback, James Tedesco, the skipper, Daniel Tupou and Jackson Paulo on the wings with Joseph Suali'i in the centres and Joseph Manu. So the two Josephs line up. Joey Manu, huge inclusion for him. We know how much he adds. Luke Keary, Sam Walker in the halves, Lindsay Collins, Davos' favourite. You may as well get under his desk, and Fletcher Baker in the front row. Brandon Smith at hooker, Egan Butcher and Nat Butcher, the two Butchers in the second row, even though Felice Kafusi butchered them both last week. Victor Radley at lock, Jake Turpin at 14, Drew Hutchison at 15. The 16 there, we'll go with White. Nothing against him. And we'll go Terrell May at 17. 18th man, Corey Allen. I think Corey Allen shouldn't be the 18th man, just to pop it out.
All right, hold that thought, mate. That's interesting. Noah, bro, can you please take us through the New Zealand Warriors lineup?
Can do. So Chance Nickel Cookstars at fullback with Edward Cossey and Marcelo Montoya on the wings. Braden Williami and Adam Pompey are in the centres. Tamari Martin and Sean Johnson in the halves. The front row is Adam Fanua Blake and Mitch Barnett with Wade Egan at hooker. Jackson Ford and Murata Niokore are in the second row with Tohu Harris locking the scrum. And on the interchange bench for the Warriors is Dylan Walker, Bunty Alfoa, Josh Curran, and I believe it's either Tom Ale or Tom Ali or something along those lines, but the 18th man being Viliami Vailea.
Thank you very much, bro. And just quickly as well, this is the 45th meeting between the two sides. And guess what? The New Zealand Warriors have one win over the Sydney Roosters overall. They do have the wood over the Roosters in overall head-to-head. But the Eastern Suburbs have won five in a row against the Warriors. This is the Warriors' first match ever at the new Allianz Stadium, but their last match at the old Sydney Football Stadium, they won 30 points to 6 in 2018. I remember that clearly. That was one of the big boilovers of that season. And the last time that these two sides played, a lot of Warriors are quite filthy about the way how that result went down, because for a long time there, the Warriors were the better side, it could be argued. But you go ask any Warriors fan, the last time these two sides met, they controversially lost. So I am looking forward to seeing how this game goes down, bro, because they let themselves down, the Eastern Suburbs, big time against the Dolphins this past Sunday. Faraz, bro, the interchange bench, I know I keep harping on about interchanges over the past few games, but this interchange bench for the Sydney Roosters, bro, do you think it is overly old or is it too small? What do you think the problem is for the interchange for the Roosters is, mate?
I just don't think, when I look at those names, I look at Jake Turpin, I look at Drew Hutchison, I look at Terrell May, Nofa White. For me, these are players that aren't necessarily bad, but they're not players that are going to take the Roosters to the next level, because the Roosters are expecting the top 4 side. So come to the finals and all that, these players are not going to take you to the next level against the top tier sides. Jake Turpin, great defender, but doesn't offer a lot in attacking. He's coming off the bench. Drew Hutchison, I'm still not sold on him entirely. He can play a few positions, but he's got a lot of areas in his game as well. Nofa White's still unproven. Terrell May, haven't seen a lot of him. So look, that bench is fairly weak. And let's say if it gets to like a 16-16 tie-breaking game, you look at the Warriors bench. You've got Dylan Walker. You've got fresh legs. You've got speed, pace outside the bench. You've got Bunty Alfoa who can come and do a job. Josh Curran is experienced. And I don't know who Tom Allen is, but if you have to look at the bench overall, I think the Warriors win that. So if it is a tight game, just watch out. You never know. Dylan Walker could be the X factor here.
Thank you for raising it. And Noah, bro, I want to ask you too about the interchange bench. What do you think about that Eastern Suburbs bench, bro? You got Turpin and Hutchison, who are both utilities, and then you got White and May, who may be big buggers, but boy howdy, they're inexperienced. And by the way, before we go on, yes, Jared Hargreaves is out of this game, and so too is Angus Crichton as well. So yes, they are missing a couple of players, including Matt Lodge as well, who I think it was a fracture to his cheekbone or something along those lines as well. So you can, I guess, forgive him, but fair dinkum, it's not impressive, is it, bro?
No, certainly not. I mean, like Faraz said, I don't really like. I mean, I know they don't really have many backup hookers, but Jake Turpin at 14 is not the way I would have been going. If you're going to go with a utility, you have to go with one, and I think Hutchison has got that locked up from his performances last year. And I've just done a quick search of White, and he is a second rower lock. So I think he mainly plays second row. So the fact that Terrell May, I think he's the only front rower, like specialty front rower, who's on the bench, it's just not what you're used to seeing from the Roosters. Usually they have the likes of they have Matt Lodge and Jared Warrior-Hargrave starting, and then Collins and Baker usually on the bench. You're used to seeing Angus Crichton there instead of Egan Butcher, and then they make up a bench that has three quality front rowers, and then one very quality of second rower in Butcher. But yeah, I'm not too sure on this list, to be honest.
Davos, man, and that's not to say that things won't change as well before kickoff, but just at the moment, Davos, bro, I guess, man, because this is a fresh reaction. I haven't seen the team list, and this is my first reaction to it all. So I look at the Warriors forward pack, bro, and if they can get a roll on, if they can really improve on their performances over the past 3 or 4 weeks now, man, what do you reckon, man? Do you reckon they've got the forward pack to actually get on top of the Roosters this weekend, Davos?
I think they do. I mean, you look at the names in that Warriors forward pack. You got Adam Fanua-Blake, one of the best front rowers in the game, Mitchell Barnett, and Marata Niokore. Those are 3 players that you do not want to mess with. And Tohu Harris is so consistent. Wade Egan has to be up there for most improved in the competition. I mean, he's turned into a fabulous hooker. And Jackson Ford, I mean, what a pickup he's been from the Dragons. I mean, he's probably the best bargain buy so far. I mean, you look at the game he had in round one, he was terrific. And you look at that Roosters forward pack, I mean, he's depleted. I mean, yes, you've got the likes of Colin Smith, Butcher, the Butcher brothers, and Victor Radley. But I look at that Warriors forward pack, and for me, the Warriors forward pack wins there.
So if they do get a roll on Lockie, mate, if they do get a roll on here, bro, the question is, though, is that a good enough back line? Is that a good enough back line for the Warriors to score some points on the Sydney Roosters, or do you think they're still a little bit too inexperienced, a little bit lacking in X factor, or do you think the likes of Tamare Martin and Chance Klukstad can really utilize the space that this forward pack could potentially give him this weekend, Lockie?
I mean, if you look at the team list here, the Roosters 1-7 can beat the Warriors team on their own. You look at the talent in that top half there, and that's all you need. I mean, you've got the likes. You've got Lindsay Collins. We know how much of a workhorse he is. You add Brandon Smith into that as well. Victor Radley also. We know these guys. We're hoping Victor Radley doesn't go down again. Fingers crossed he can stay full healthy. But you look at the forwards there for the Warriors, and you've got Fanua-Blake, Tohu Harris, Mitch Barnett. We all know what they're going to do. But then it feels like their back rowers are still, I don't know. It just seems like Jackson Ford, he's only played 1 game at this club. He barely got games at St. George. I think the Roosters will have too much class still with how average looking the Warriors team is.
Yeah, man. Lockie, do you think Joey Manu is going to hit the ground running, or do you think he's going to be rather rusty this weekend, mate?
I think he's going to hit the ground running. I think Joey Manu is one of those players where he doesn't miss a skip in his step. I mean, he's an absolute star. He's one of the best players we've got in the game. I think adding just him to that team, if you put him in there against last week against the Dolphins, I don't think they lose by as much to start with. I think they probably still wouldn't have got over the line, but I don't, as much as the kid needs time, Jackson Paula, I don't think that's it. I think Joey Suaalii has to go back to the wing. I think they need to get that back, the Joey Manu and the Joey Suaalii on the edge together.
Yeah, man. Okay, then. Well, look, I really want to tip the Warriors, but they're back at home at Allianz. They I don't want to say rarely, but they're not going to put another performance like that in, like they did this past weekend. This weekend, I do think that back line is it's the Roosters backs versus the forward pack of the New Zealand Warriors. And the reason why I'm so close to tipping the New Zealand Warriors is because Dylan Walker, as Dave Voss alluded to, man, is that X factor that could come off the bench and create a lot of havoc as well. So I'm going to tip the Sydney Roosters here. based off of a little bit more trust, and the Warriors still need to do a lot more convincing to the rugby league community as well about their potential finals hopes this year. So I'm going to go the Sydney Roosters 1-12, and I'm going to go Daniel Tupou to get a double this weekend, because I believe, if I'm right in saying, he's lining up against Edward Cossey, bro. So I'm going to go Daniel Tupou to get a double, and I'm going to go Sydney Roosters 1-12. Faraz, bro, what about your tip this weekend?
I'm going to go Roosters 13 plus, just by 14. I want to tip the Warriors, but Roosters back at home. I feel like they're going to be so frustrated from what happened last week. They want to put a score on the Warriors, but I think the Warriors will be up for it early on. But I think being at Sydney back at home, I think the Roosters just edge them out by 14 points though. I'm going to go anytime try scorer. I'm going to go, you know what, let's just go Jackson Paulo. I have a funny feeling he's going to sneak in for one.
Ooh. Okay, then, mate. Lockie, what's your tip?
I don't know if you can see here, but I've actually got a confirmed bet on already. I've got the Sydney Roosters 13 plus.
Yep.
I've also got Nat Butcher at any time. I think being on Jackson Ford, the man loves a meat pie. We'll go Nat Butcher to bounce back this week.
Neville, what about yourself, mate?
Okay. I've got the Warriors here. And you can call me crazy, but forward packs win games. And I know kicking games can win games as well. But to be fair, you look at, for instance, the Broncos vs Panthers game. I'm going to draw back on that. Yes, Adam Reynolds' kicking game was great. But if you didn't have the forwards the Broncos had putting pressure on those kicks and such, then, I mean, I'm not sure if Broncos win that. So it's just, for me, I reckon the Warriors have 2-time better forward pack. Obviously they have a lot of quality players in that team, especially the bench. I think the bench will do a lot of damage. And while the Warriors are heavy outsiders betting wise, I've got the Warriors to win this one. I'm going to go 1-12. I don't think it'll be by much. But for me, I think anytime try scorer, I'm going to go Charles Nicoll-Klokstad to score another try this week. And I'm going to go Joey Manu in his return game.
Yo, Chance Nicoll-Klokstad was my fullback of the week this past weekend, bro, for sure. But just Davos as well, bro. Before you reveal your tip, mate, how much of a difference would Luke Metcalf have made to this side? Because I reckon if he was in this squad this weekend, bro, in any capacity, oh man, I'd be changing my tip to the Warriors. Boy, howdy, they could go for a Luke Metcalf, Davos. But what's your tip this weekend as it is?
Yeah, look, to be honest, if Luke Metcalf wasn't injured, I'd 100% have him in my 17. This bloke is an absolute talent. You all saw how he played in the trials against the Tigers. He was absolutely terrific. The fact that he can cover fullback in the halves. He could even be like a little link man in the middle as well. I think if he was in the team, it probably wouldn't change my tip, but it would definitely be a very, very tight game because this bloke has to be playing in this Warriors 17 when he is free.
So what's your tip this weekend for the Roosters Warriors, bro?
Yep, so I've got the Roosters 1-12. I just think after the shocker that they had against the Dolphins, they'll be fired up. Trent Robinson won't let that win slide. I've got Joseph Suwali to score a meat pie. I feel like the fact that he's playing on Adam Pompey, who has defensive issues and is not that great of a center, I think Suwali will absolutely dominate him. And for the Warriors, I have got I'm going to go with Tamari Martin. I feel like that he's a very good pickup for the Warriors and got a great running game. So I feel like he'll crash over for a meat pie.
Alrighty, halfway there, guys. Thank you very much for your time again. Let's go to a really intriguing game now, man. Dolphins versus Raiders from KO Stadium this Saturday. Davos, bro, what are the odds for this contest, please, bro?
Yep, so on the Sportsbet app, we have got the Dolphins as underdogs at $2.36 and the Raiders are favourites at $1.59.
Strike me pink. The Dolphins are that much of an outsider, are they? Fair dinkum. All right, no, just give us half a sec. I'm going to bring up the team list. So, Lockie, man, can you please take us through the Redcliffe Dolphins team list, please?
So at fullback, Hamisai Tabuai Fido. I thought he was unreal last week for the Dolphins. On the wings, Jermaine Asako and Tessie New, the two rejects from the Broncos. Ewan Aiken and Branko Lee in the centers. And then you've got Isaiah Katoa, which I thought, being the age of 19, he didn't have a great start last week, but he bounced himself back really well. Sean O'Sullivan, the key man to that team. Jesse Bromwich and Jared Wallace, the two veterans in the front row. Jeremy Marshall-King, I think, the most underrated signing that the Dolphins have made, to be honest. Felice Kafusi and Kenny Bromwich, the two Storm veterans in the second row. Tom Gilbert, the hothead, he'll come up against Corey Horsburgh, I could imagine. On the bench, Connolly Loomy, Mark Nichols, the hometown hero soon to be. Number 16, I can't see the name fully, but I believe the last name is Teague. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. And then number 17, Kurt Donahoe. I thought in trials he was an outstanding player for the Dolphins.
I agree, definitely, man. And Faraz, bro, can you please take us through the Canberra Raiders lineup?
Yeah, for sure. So at fullback lineup is Sebastian Crystal in placing for Savage. On the wings, you've got Nick Kotrick, Timoko Harley, Smith Shields in the center pairings, Albert Hopewade on the other, Jack White and Jamal Fogarty in the halves. You got Preston Sola, is that right?
Pasami.
Oh, Pasami Sissoko. Sorry for my pronunciation there, but at W half you got Danny Levi, Joseph Tarpany, Hudson Young, Elliot Whitehead, and Corey Harinari. And on the bench you've got Tom Starling and Atta Mariota. Is that how you pronounce it?
Mariota. Yep.
Mariota. Corey Horsburgh and Emery Guller.
And in 18th man, James Schiller and Pawasa Famasuli for the Redcliffe Dolphins. And look, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. This is the first ever meeting between the Dolphins and the Raiders, and KO Stadium is absolutely sold out this weekend. But as I think it was Noah that alluded to before, or maybe it was Lockie, but it is raining in Queensland this weekend. So unfortunately, we may not get a dry track for this contest. Which will bring the Raiders back into it a little bit. It will dampen the attack of the Dolphins, who looked so good. I mean, the Roosters were really ordinary, but the Dolphins attack, bro, through a lot of different shapes of that Roosters defensive line. Just a quick shout out to Connolly Lemuelu. He had a right royal bastard of a time up at North Queensland. But I always liked him. I always enjoyed his performances, and I thought he was always harshly judged. And he had a couple of really good performances last year for the Cows. And then for him to do what he's done in the preseason and last weekend, bro, I'm so excited and happy for this young bloke. Now, Mason Teague in jersey 16, starting with you, Lockie, man. Mason Teague is a gentleman from Penrith that's come up, so he's got some of that really cool DNA to him. And Kurt Donohoe, I agree with you, bro. I thought Donohoe was really good in the preseason trials, bro. But just your reaction to the Dolphins, please, Lockie, bro. Do you reckon they're going to have the attack to get over what could be a really tough defensively minded Canberra Raiders outfit this weekend?
I think the Raiders scoring 18 points on a pretty good defensive line in North Queensland. The Raiders have the points in them. If they see a hole, it'll open up. I mean, for me, I would have Tom Starling starting at 9 and Danny Levi at 14. But that's me personally. I think for the Dolphins, their team is quite strong there. I mean, I just feel this weekend that Jack Whiten and Jamal Fogarty are going to run circles around Katoa. I think they're going to open him up. He's only 19. You look at last week, Sam Walker, only about, I think he's 20. Yes, he's played more NRL games, but they're still both young. Luke Q was off his game a bit as well, but I think this weekend, Jack Whiten and Fogarty can show the weaknesses in this Dolphins lineup. I think the Dolphins will come out firing. I think they'll show up once again, but I don't think it'll be what they were last week.
No, mate. You look at the center wing combinations for both sides there. It's besides Nick Chotrich on the Canberra Raiders side, it's very much the veterans of the Dolphins versus the youth of the Canberra Raiders, is it not?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Jermaine Ozako, he's played quite a few games. Ewan Aiken's a great defensive center, and he's a bit of a he's getting to the age now where he's sort of becoming a veteran of the game. Branko Lee, obviously a veteran, and Tessie New, while he's only young, he has played a lot of games of NRL, especially more than Hopewada and Smith Shields and Tomoko. So it's definitely it's going to be a good matchup to see. Obviously, like you said, the youth of the Raiders of wing and centers versus the Dolphins, but I think it'll be a good matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing who will prevail in that matchup. I think it'll be close.
Davos, man, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing that back row battle. Kofusi on Hudson Young, Bromwich on Elliot Whitehead, Gilbert on Corey Hadawira-Naira, bro. I reckon that's the key to victory in this game, man.
Yeah, I mean, Felice Kafusi, I mean, what a game he had last week. Some of the shots he put on Brandon Smith were absolutely cracking. Kenny Bromwich is just super consistent, veteran of the game. Tom Gilbert is the one that I'm looking forward to. I mean, I rate Tom Gilbert very highly, as you probably do, Sam. At the Cowboys, I thought he was terrific and deserved an Origin call-up, and when he did, he was fantastic. Hudson Young, what a year he had last year. He was absolutely terrific. Elliot Whitehead is super consistent as well. And Corey Harawira-Naira, he's a very consistent and good player, and he always shows up. So I can't wait to see that battle.
Yeah, for us, bro, without Josh Papali'i, with Josh Papali'i, I think the Raiders go even closer to beating North Queensland this weekend, and unfortunately, he's just missed out by the skin of his teeth on playing this weekend. But I thought the interchange bench for the Raiders really did make an impact when they came on, in particularly Corey Horsburgh last weekend, bro. So what was your did you watch the Cowboys Raiders game? And if you did, man, what was your opinion on the interchange bench coming on and really helping them out big time in that game?
Well, I saw a bit of the first half. Well, I didn't watch the fully first half because I saw the Cows leading goal. Now I'm like, yeah, Cowboys should smack him here. And then the second half started. I think the Raiders started to find more creativity in the ruck when Tom Starling came on. I think he provided more for the forwards to lay that platform. And Corey Horsburgh had a great game. He brought a lot of flair and attack to that side. And that's why they scored 3 unanswered tries. Unfortunately, it wasn't severe for them. But a lot of positive sides, man. I mean, look at that forward pack. Tarpany, you got Hudson Young, Elliot Whitehead. Then you bring someone like Horsburgh onto the field. And then Tom Starling. I'd personally start Tom Starling, but it is what it is. Yeah, look, the Raiders on paper, they have a good side, probably top 8 worthy. So it'll be interesting to see how they go on a consistent basis.
It's still an okay side, isn't it? It's okay. But look, man, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, Tom Gilbert, those North Queenslanders were so good. Jesus Christ, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow was great last weekend. Look, it's so hard, man. Bugger it. I'm going to go the Dolphins to win this game, man. They showed enough in attack that I think that they can just pip the Canberra Raiders. Felice Kafusi, Tom Gilbert, Jesse Bromwich, they are going to have to use those shoulders big time against the Canberra Raiders, who did look so tough. There was no shame in that loss against the Cowboys last weekend for the Raiders. Very impressive, a loss that was full of heart, the Canberra Raiders. But I think this Dolphins outfit, bro, Jesus Christ, they look so good. But it's only been one game, hasn't it? That's the thing. It's only been one game. So, but I am going to tip the Dolphins 1-12. And look, I'm going to go Brenko Lee, who actually had a bit of an underrated game, in my opinion. Brenko Lee was quite good last weekend. Noah, what's your tip this week?
For me, I'm not too sure. Like, obviously, I'm going to actually agree with you. I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I really liked what I saw last week against a quality team, the Roosters. I don't think the Roosters were up to scratch, and I don't think they performed as well as they would have wanted to. But in the same sense, I feel like a game against the Raiders at a sold-out KO Stadium, which you'd imagine would be mostly Dolphins fans, I could see that. I could see the home crowd playing a big advantage, and I really like the team the Dolphins have looking back at it now, and obviously being coached by the best coach in the NRL era.
Lockie, man, it's so crazy that literally 2 weeks ago, 90% of the rugby league community was saying that this team on paper is absolute dog shit. Excuse my French, boys, but now the team list has come out, and we're all saying, "Oh, it does look very good, doesn't it?" Because a lot of veterans, and you got Hammer and Gilbert, who's really good at who's good and has got some youth. Man, it's so interesting what a win can bloody do. But what's your tip in this game, man?
Well, I can confirm 2 weeks ago, my stock control at my job at the moment did call Dolphins for top 6. So he's probably 1 in a million man, but going off last week, he could be onto something. I don't know what he's seeing that I'm not seeing, but I've got the Dolphins winning. I think I do like Canberra as a club. I won't go into details, but one of my good family friends plays in New South Wales Cup for them, so I've got a relationship with the Raiders, but for me, the Dolphins in Brisbane again, they're playing in front of their home ground for once. The atmosphere in that little arena is going to be pretty electric. You can imagine they'll be up again for a big one on a Saturday afternoon game. I think they'll start off fast and the Raiders just won't be able to match them. A bit like last week. The Raiders will be chasing their tail and it'll get too much for them and they'll just fade away again. So I've got Dolphins 1-12. I don't think they'll win by much. And I've got Jermaine Asako for a double.
Jermaine Asako double again, bro. He'd be just about on top of the try-scoring list after that weekend going off that, mate, for sure. Nice, man, nice. For Raz, bro, what's your tip?
I'm going a different direction. I'm going the Raiders. I'm going Raiders by 4. See, the thing is for me, the Dolphins, they showed a lot last week. If it wasn't for that performance, I'd probably go Raiders 30+ here. But for me, the reason why I'm going the Raiders is because I feel like they're so inconsistent that they will probably show up this week. And for the Dolphins, I know it was a big upset last week, but it's always easy getting out for your first game. So the challenges are going to get ahead now. Can they keep it consistent? Was last week just a sort of a bit of fluke for the moment? Or are they actually a genuine side that can threaten a lot of these sides? So look, Raiders in Brisbane don't really have the best of records, but going off last week, if they can play a full 80 minutes, I think they'll just edge out the Dolphins. But it'll be a close game. I would not be surprised if the Dolphins win. And for anytime try scorer, I'm actually going to go Danny Levi.
Okay. There you go, man. Just quickly, Jeremy Marshall-King was absolutely outstanding. I reckon he took a couple of years to get going, but I think over the past 18 months or so, he's really found his groove, bro. He's been really good.
Last year.
He was, man. He really was. Davos, what's your tip in this one?
Yeah, this is a tough one, to be honest. I mean, I've got the Raiders 1-12, but like Faraz said, I will not be surprised one bit if the Dolphins win. I've got Jack Whiten to crash over for a try. I feel like he'll expose a lot of the Dolphins' defensive issues, I feel. And for the Dolphins, I've got the Hammer. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. It sucks that he couldn't get a spot in the starting team for the Cowboys, but Scotty Drinkwater, he's been absolutely terrific and both great players, but unfortunately one had to miss out. But I'm very happy for Hammer and look, it'll be a cracking game, but I've just got the Raiders winning.
Certainly, mate, certainly. Noah, I got your tip or not?
Yeah, you got my tip. I actually forgot my try scorers though. So for that, by the way, I do have Jermaine Asako scoring 1. But I think for the Raiders, I think to be honest, I'm going to go Jamal Fogarty. I really like his chances in this game. To be completely honest, I believe he may be on the side of Isaiah Katoa, if I'm not wrong. So not too sure about Katoa's defense.
I think you might be right there, bro. All right, let's move on into the next game. Thank you, guys. And everybody that's watching right now, thank you. Please go and check out the Final Siren podcast on Instagram and on YouTube as well. Let's go into the main event on Super Saturday. Davos, please, bro, give us the odds for this contest, mate.
Yep, so we have got the Storm as favourites at $1.50, and we have got the Bulldogs as the underdogs at $2.62.
Davos, mate, being that it's your team, bro, can you please take us through the team list for the Melbourne Storm?
Yep, so at fullback, we have got Nick Meaney, had an absolute brilliant game last week. On the wings, we have got Will Warbrick and Xavier Coates. In the centres, we've got Remus Smith and Young Tonomapia. In the halves, we have got Tyron Richard, who's coming in for his first start of the season, replacing Karen Munster with his finger. We've got Jerome Hughes at halfback. In the front row, we've got Christian Welch and Nelson. In the at hooker we've got Harry Grant. In the back row we've got Trent Loiero and Elisa Katoa. And locking the scrum is Josh King. On the interchange, Bronson Garlick, he was absolutely brilliant last week in the limited minutes he played. Alec McDonald, Aaron Penne, and Jordan Grant. And the 18th man is Grant Anderson.
Thank you, Davos. And Noah, can you please take us through the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs?
Sure can. So they've got the rookie Hayes Perham at fullback. Not too sure if that's the right decision with Avarillo playing so good last year at fullback. But they've got Kiraz and Josh Adokar on the wings. Good wing pairing. Avarillo and Alamotti in the centres. Very inexperienced centres, but I think we'll have to see how they go throughout the year. Burton and Flanagan in the halves. Still question marks over Flanagan as a halfback in this Bulldogs team. Max King and Ryan Sutton make up the front row with Reid Marnie at hooker. Viliama Kikau, one of the new recruits, and Raymond Faitala Mariner in the second row with Far Manu Brown at the lock spot. And Jaden Tanner, Corey Waddell, Franklin Pele, Jacob Preston making up the interchange bench with Braden Burns, I think, being promoted to 18th man.
I'm going to be brutally honest. Sorry about the disrespect to the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, but besides last year, I think for the majority of the past 4 years or so, the Bulldogs have been a dumb team, bro. And last weekend, they were easily the most disappointing side, and they played dumb. They were so bad last weekend against Manly, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, bro. It's so disappointing to see, man, that the likes of a Kikau and Burton, premiership winners, Reid Marnie, grand finalists last year, they just couldn't get it together, man. It was terribly, terribly disappointing. But the Melbourne Storm, Dave, I'd like to get your opinion on this as well, mate. Considering I don't have the Melbourne Storm as a premiership threat this year, but I think they are going to still remain a serious pain in the ass this year.
Yeah, I completely understand why fans don't have us as a premiership threat because of the amount of experience we've lost and the players that have gone. But in my opinion, I do believe that we are a premiership threat due to the fact that, yes, I understand we've lost around maybe 600 games of experience in the forward pack. But you look at those names. I mean, Eli Katoa, I feel like he's just going to get better as the weeks go on. I thought he was very good against the Eels. Josh King's very consistent. I'm very happy we picked him up from the night. And Loiero is only getting better. He's only a good young player. And look, I completely understand why you would think that, Sam. But personally, I have the Storm as premiership favourites. Not favourites, contenders.
Whoa, I was going to say, you just beat me to the punch there. Whoa, man, premiership favourites. But, hey, that's your team, bro. Just quickly as well, Dave Ross, man, what did you think about your team's performance last weekend?
Yeah, look, I was very proud of the way that we defended. I mean, Para had about 80% of possession in the first half, and the fact that we went down 6-0, I was actually quite surprised. I mean, to be brutally honest, we were lucky we weren't down like 18 or 20-0, but I was very proud of the way we went about it defensively. And look, there were going to be some issues in attack being the first game, but I'm not too worried, and I was very happy with the way that Harry Grant and Cameron Munster performed. I thought they were absolutely outstanding. And
sorry, Dave. Let's go ahead.
No, I was going to say added Nick Meaney as well. The fact that his preferred position is on the wing, and he went into fullback, and he was outstanding. I mean, I think he ran for around 217 meters. He was brilliant.
Nick Meaney had some very good subtle touches last weekend, didn't he? I do agree. Nick Meaney did have a pretty good game. Lockie, man, what's your read on the Melbourne Storm?
I mean, if you go back to the couple of years, they lost Cameron Smith, they lost Cooper Cronk, they lost Billy Slater. Everyone said, Melbourne are going to fall back. They're going to be struggling to make the 8. Where did they finish? Top 4. Well, the Melbourne Storm are that club that they're going to be up there no matter what. They've got Craig Bellamy there. Once they're full strength, once they've got Munster, Hughes, Grant, Pappenhausen, those 4 can beat teams on their own when they're playing well. The fact Cameron Munster went back out there with a compound fracture to his finger just shows what that club stands for and what they're about. Last week, yeah, they won in Golden Point, but again this year, I've got them in the top 6. I don't see them going anywhere. It's hard to know because round one, but you look at their forward pack, they've still got the good forwards there. They've got Christian Welsh back, which is a huge in for them. Their bench is a bit iffy because it's quite young. There's still the talk around Jack Howarth. We haven't seen him yet. And then you do have the backs, which are quite solid backs as well. We just got to hope Xavier Coates stays injury-free, and Nick Meaney does a great job. So the Storm, they'll be there again. I wouldn't sleep on them.
No, and yes, I absolutely agree with you. No, don't sleep on the Melbourne Storm. I've got them in my top 6 as well, Lockie. Definitely, man. Faraz, bro, I want to ask you a question about the two backlines here. Looks might be a little bit deceiving, but look, Matt Burton and Kyle Flanagan, they were disappointing. But Tyrone Wishart has proven himself to be quite a bit of a bulldog himself. He's actually quite a tenacious player who did have an error or two in him last weekend, but whenever he's come in, he's done an honourable job. But I think those two backlines actually stack up a little bit more evenly than what meets the eye. Is that how you read it, or do you think one backline has it over the other?
Oh, did he leave?
Oh,
Yeah,
Faraz,
sorry.
Faraz,
Yeah, Faraz is
no,
gone. Sorry, if you want me to take over that question, I'm more than happy.
that'd be lovely, mate. Sorry about that.
yeah.
I was just
No,
looking at the team list. Sorry.
That's okay. I think I will apologise first on Faraz's behalf. I think he just got some bad internet, but I'm sure he'll be all right. But for now, I think
His provider must be the Cowboys.
Oh,
but looking at the back line, I think when I first read it, I'm like, Bulldogs have the back line easily, and then you really look in depth. Storm have Xavier Coates, they have Nick Meaney, Jerome Hughes, and then you compare it to, like, obviously that's pretty much the equivalent for me of Matt Burton, Nato Carr, and then I feel like Hayes Perham I'm not too sure about Hayes Perham on fullback. I've said that a few times, but for me, I don't think it's a certain team wins this. I think it's just whoever plays better on the day. So I think both teams' backlines are pretty evenly matched. And I'm looking forward to seeing who prevails in this game.
all right, then. Well, let's get into our tips. And Faraz, mate, if you're listening and watching, mate, come back in as soon as you can, bro. So let's get into the tips then, bro. Noah, who are you tipping this weekend?
I'm gonna go ahead and tip the Storm 13 plus. I think I'm not huge on the Doggies this year. A lot of people are saying they're top 8 contenders. I'm not too sure I believe in that yet. Yes, it was only round 1, but the recruits they shouldn't have lost to Manly by 25 odd points. So for me, I'm going to go Storm 13 plus. I'm going to go Nick Meaney to score a try, and I'll go Jake Avarilla to score a try. And I want to quickly give an update. Faraz has said he's sorry he won't be able to join back. He might be able to. Sorry, but he'll have to join back on phone instead of computer this time.
Okay, then, no worries, man. In your own time, that's all good, mate. Thank you for that, Noah. And what about yourself, Lockie? What do you reckon?
I've got Storm 13 plus as well. I think, the Dogs have got a good team. I just don't think they'll be up for the task again, to be honest. The same. If you look at the likes last week, if you look at the Broncos, you look at the Dolphins, they just all looked on the same page. It looks like last week the Dogs were flicking through 6 different chapters at once. Melbourne, they're too good of a team to be losing to the Dogs. I've got Storm 13 plus. I've got Nick Meaney for a try and Xavier Coates for a try as well.
Dave Voss, mate, do I even need to ask you? But I will anyway. What do you reckon is going to happen in this contest?
Yeah, look, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Storm fan, but I've got Storm 13 plus. Look, I feel like the Doggies, they're a good team, but I feel like they're way too overhyped. I still think there's some issues in the fullback and halfback jerseys. As much as I love Kyle Flanagan, I still think he's not playing great. And you look at that Storm team, it might not be the Storm teams that had a Cooper Cronk, Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, but it's still a solid Storm team. And when the Storm played Amy Park, like what happened last time where we smashed them 44-0, we're not a team to be messed with at Amy Park. And I feel like the Dogs will get humbled and will be taught a lesson.
I think that in itself is just a lesson that Faraz, maybe you should actually back your team. No, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Yes, agreed, mate. Agreed. So I'm going to tip the Melbourne Storm, but I'm not going to go 13 plus. I'm going to go 1 to 12. I'm going to give the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs a bit of a half a chance here. I do think that forward pack, if they show up, can match it. Even though Nelson Asafa Solomona is that guy that can just change it on a dime. Because once he comes off, in my opinion, I don't know. What's your opinion on this, Dave Voss? When Nelson Asafa comes off, they're a little bit more vulnerable, aren't they, the Melbourne Storm?
I definitely agree with you with that, Sammy. I mean, Nelson's, apart from Christian Welch, is probably the leader of our forward pack. And, the impact that he provides, like even not only in the middle, but on the edge, I mean, he's lethal. I mean, every time I see him run the ball, he knocks over at least one bloke. So when he goes off, it does bring on the likes of, Alec McDonald and Penne, but they aren't as strong as and don't provide the impact that Nelson does. And Nelson is a big part of our forward pack.
Yep. Now I'm gonna go the Melbourne Storm 1 to 12. I'm gonna give the Bulldogs benefit of the doubt here, but I'll go big Will Warbrick to score a try. Jesus, he's a monster. He's an absolute skyscraper, that fella. Well, let's go into Sunday. There's only 2 more games to go, guys. And if you're watching this now, guys, thank you. Go and subscribe to Final Siren Podcast. Do it. Let's go into Sunday afternoon football. It is the West Tigers versus the Newcastle Knights from Leichhardt Oval. Lockie, do you have the odds for this one, please, mate?
Yes, I do. Just give me 2 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah, man.
Gotta love when your phone glitches out. So the odds are the Leichhardt Oval, the Tigers are the favourites at $1.71. Newcastle $2.15. I think those odds explain a little bit. I mean, depends if Tigers have their head switched on or not, if they're going to start Api Coruscant or not. But I think going off last week, the Knights, they've got the talent this year. They've got the squad. It's just putting it all together. I think Ponga didn't look that bad. I thought he had his good moments. Lachlan Miller at fullback looks like he's got his head switched on. It's what they needed. But then you look to the Tigers and you had Api Coruscant starting off the bench. You had Dane Laurie looked a bit out of it. Luke Brooks was touch and go. You had cramps here and there. Papali'i wouldn't even know he was on the field at stages. I mean, the Tigers this year, as much as they've got good signings, I just don't know if they're there yet. I think it's going to take time. I think it's going to be about 2025 when they click it all together.
Oh, strike me pink. Yeah, yep.
On the other hand, we will go to the team list. So for the Tigers at fullback, Dane Laurie. On the wings, David Norfoluma and Charlie the Shitstains. In the centres, Brent Naden and Tommy Talau. In the halves, Adam Dewey, Luke Brooks. In the forwards, in the front row, you've got David Clemmer, the new signing. We know he can be becoming hot-head at times. And Stefano Utukamanu. They have started the hooker. Api Coruscant starting for his first time at his new club. In the back row, Sean Blore and Isaiah Papali'i. Joel Fangawi, who we know has taken it up a step in his career. On the bench, number 14, Jake Simkin, young gun at hooker. Apu Kapow and Alex Seyfarth and Alex Twal. Will he go over for his first time this weekend? We will have to wait and see.
Yeah, man. Now, just quickly, I'm going to Faraz, mate. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm there, Sam.
Okay, I can't see you, mate, but good that I can hear you. So can you take us through the Newcastle Knights team list, please, mate?
All right. So our fullback is Lockie Miller. On the wings, you've got Humble Hunt and Dominic Young. In the centres, you've got Dan Gagai and Bradman Best. In the halves, you've got Kalen Ponga, Jackson Hastings, Daniel Saifidi, Jaden Brayley, Jacob Saifidi, Tyson Frizzell, Lachlan Fitzgibbon, and Kurt Mann. On the bench, you've got Crossland, you've got Jack Johns, you've got Jack Hetherington, and I think that's Leah Thompson.
That's correct, mate. That's correct. Just bring your mouth a little bit closer to the mouthpiece, bro. So Noah, bro, Tigers disappointing last weekend, eh?
Yeah. I'm not too sure what I was expecting when tipping Tigers. I always expect Tigers will change, and then they sort of just don't. I'm not sure how you can how you wouldn't start the captain on the field. That baffles me.
Yep.
And it makes me think it makes me wonder if Api Coruscant as the captain was the right choice. If that was what they were going to go ahead with. I personally think Joe Ofahengawi would have made a great captain. He leads by example, and he's done that the last 2 years he's been at the Tigers. But hopefully Coruscant actually gets to start this time. I have a feeling he could be a good captain if he gets the chance to actually captain. But it's the same, different year, same story with the Tigers pretty much every year. Hopefully, I'm going to back the Tigers again this week. I feel like on paper they've got the better team, they've got the better backs, the better forward pack, and for me the better interchange bench. But I don't know with the Tigers; it's a bit hit and miss.
Oh, certainly, mate. And I really hope, touch wood, that Sean Blord doesn't cop an injury or a HIA, mate. That bloke has had enough injuries in his lifetime, bro. I really hope he goes well this weekend for sure, man. Lockie, bro, on the Newcastle Knights, what's your opinion on? Look, I think on paper they have a top 10 team, bro. Not a bottom four side, but this Adam O'Brien. He's on his last legs, isn't he? So, do you think the Knights have a better team on paper than where they are on the ladder, or do you think it's all sort of stacking up just where it should be at the moment, mate?
I think if you look at paper, they've actually got a pretty strong team. I mean, they've got all the pieces there. They're at the stage where they just need to connect it all together. I mean, you've got Jackson Hastings at 7. We know he's talented. He's a veteran of the game. Kalen Ponga at 6. Going to take him a while to get that figured out. I believe he did play 6 for a little bit at the Cowboys as a youngster. Lachlan Miller at fullback. We know what he can do. The forward pack to the Knights isn't a worry, I don't think. I think their forward pack is set in stone. It's pretty solid. You can't get much better than what they've got. It's just the interchange is still a bit shaky. Jack Hetherington, we know he spends more time in the judiciary than on the field. Phoenix Crossland, he can be hit and miss. Jack Johns, he's probably only there because of his uncle. And then Leo Thompson at 17. So I think the Knights, they'll make the top 10. Yeah, I agreed to you. It just depends. I don't think they'll be in the 8.
All right, Noah, I'm going to hit you with a hard-hitting question here, mate. Luke Brooks, mate, do you re-sign him, or is he off to Super League, or is he off to play netball next year, mate? What do you do with Luke Brooks?
This is actually, I feel like I'm going to cop a bit here, but Luke Brooks at 6 last year with Jackson Hastings at 7, it worked for me. He did a really good job at 6. He looked comfortable there, and then for some unknown reason, the Tigers decided that once Dewey was back and fit, they would move Brooks back to halfback, Dewey to 6, and Jackson Hastings to lock. And to be fair, it worked in the Broncos game. I remember that well being there, but it didn't seem to work for any of the other games. So I don't know. For me, if you can sign a quality 7 into the Tigers team, I honestly like Brooks as a 6 more than Dewey. I know Dewey had a good performance last week, but I think he thinks he's bigger than the club. Sometimes he was advertising himself as a $1 million player at one point in the preseason. So for me, I'd re-sign Luke Brooks as a 5'8" if you can get a quality halfback. If not, I'm not really sure. You just have to sort of get rid of Brooks, bloody youngster.
Davos, mate. The real big storyline, the overarching storyline to this is that this is Jackson Hastings' first game up against his old club, the West Tigers. This is David Clemmer's first game up against his old club as well. So there is going to be a bit of pepper in this game, bro. Who do you think is going to have the better match? While they're not obviously going toe-to-toe against each other directly, who do you reckon is up for the bigger match, Jackson Hastings or David Clemmer?
I think Jackson Hastings, because we all know that Jackson Hastings loved the Tigers and he basically got forced out. And I don't know why the Tigers didn't re-sign the bloke. I mean, he was probably their best player last year. And the Knights, I was very happy when the Knights picked him up because they needed a halfback and they got a halfback. And I think he was actually really good in the first game. And I think once he starts to form combination with Ponga, Miller, and Brayley, I think they're only going to get better. As for Clemmer, look, Clemmer's a good player, but he can be a bit of a hothead at times. And to be honest, I don't think the Tigers really needed him, to be honest. Like, I feel like the Tigers should have signed some outside backs and some halves because their forward pack is probably their strength of their team. But look, to answer your question, I think Jackson Hastings will want to prove to the Tigers that letting go of him was the wrong decision. So definitely Hastings.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm going to go into my tips now. This is hard to tip, bro.
Sorry to
Very
interrupt,
hard.
Sam.
Sorry, Faraz.
I've also got a question, and I'm so curious. I'm surprised the Tigers didn't keep Jock Madden, in my opinion.
We'll get to okay. So Jock Madden, well, he's up there at Brisbane Broncos land at the moment now, man. It is, but it just is what it is now, isn't it, mate? But no, Jock Madden's up there at Brisbane, so I'm going to get into my tip now, and I'm going to give him one more chance, kind of like the same thing with the Bulldogs. I'm going to go the West Tigers to win this one, 1-12. But I thought Kalen Ponga, you're right, Lockie. I thought Kalen Ponga was actually good last weekend without being brilliant, obviously. But he was actually quite solid and showed some real signs of improvement. So I'm going to go the West Tigers to win, and I'm going to go Charlie Staines and Isaiah Papali'i to score for the West Tigers. What about yourself, Faraz?
You know what? I was with the Tigers all week, but I think Jackson Hastings is out for revenge. So I'm going to go Newcastle 1-12. I am going to go Jackson Hastings for a try against his former side.
Oh, nice, man. Well, gee whiz, that'd be just about one of the biggest stories out of round two for sure, man. Lockie, what's your tip?
So I'll go the Tigers. I'll go 1-12. I don't think it'll be a blowout, that's for sure. David Norfoloma anytime, and I think Bradman Best is in for a big year. He's my one to watch for that Newcastle team, so I'll go him as well. He scored one last week also against the Warriors.
Well, I really hope he is, man. It's about time for Bradman Best to actually live up to that hype that bloody Joey Johns unfairly put onto him, I guess, in a way. Dave Voss, what's your tip in this one?
Yeah, look, I've got the Knights 1-12. Look, I think the Knights are a lot better team than the Tigers. Look, the Tigers' backline is absolutely atrocious, and their defense is absolutely atrocious as well. I've got Kalen Ponga to go over. I feel like he'll expose those Tigers' defense. And I've also got Isaiah Papali'i to go over for a try. I feel like he had an absolute shocker in the first game, and I feel like he'll be out for revenge.
Yo, man. Yo, and what about yourself, Noah?
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to go I think I'll go Tigers. I'm going to go Tigers 1-12. I think on paper, I think the Tigers have a better team. The forward packs are pretty evenly matched, but I just think they're more well-rounded. I actually liked what Luke Brooks did last week. A few fans were hating on him. I thought he had a really good game in a losing team. But yeah, for me, I'm going to go Tigers 1-12. I'm going to go Luke Brooks anytime try scorer for the Tigers. I think he's going to silence the fans. And I'm going to go Dane Gagai to get over for the Knights.
Oh, nice, man. And this is Dane Gagai's first game of the year. He didn't play last weekend, didn't he? All right, then. Let's get into the final game of the round. And Faraz, mate, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, mate. So the last game of the round, Sunday Twilight Football, St. George Illawarra Dragons versus the Gold Coast Titans from Cogra. What are the odds for this one, please, Faraz?
Yeah, going off Sportsbet, it's actually $1.90 each for the Dragons and Titans, which is sort of understandable because Dragons haven't played a game yet. But yeah, this looks to be a cracking one.
Oh, wow. $1.90 each way, bro. I did not know that. That's I don't know how to feel about that. I guess it's because well let's just get into the team list news actually. So Lockie, man, Lockie, can you please take us through the Dragons lineup, please, bro?
Oh, Lockie, you're muted.
I think he's eating at the moment.
My bad.
Oh, sorry, man. I was looking at the team list again, mate. It's all good.
No. At fullback, Tyler Sloan, the kid, I think people need to give up on the kid a little bit. Not in that way. Just, not in the give up on him. Cut him a bit of slack. He cops it from all angles every game, no matter what he does. So, Tyler Sloan at fullback. Figai on the wing with Ravalawa on the other wing. Moses Sulik, Zach Lomax in the centers, Jaden Sullivan and Ben Hunt in the halves. That is to mention that Tauto Amone has been named in the reserves, so that could change. Francis Molo and Laurie in the front row, Moses Embo at hooker. Don't know how I feel about that at all. Ben Murdoch, Masilla, and Jaden Sewer in the back row. Jack Bird at lock with the bench. Jacob Little, Zane Musgrove, Michael Molo, and Toby Couchman.
Dave Osman, can you take us through the Gold Coast Titans, please?
Yep. So at fullback we have got AJ Brimson. On the wings we've got Alafina, Khan Pereira, and Jojo Fafita. In the centers we've got Aaron Shupp and Philip Summy. In the halves we've got Kieran Foran and Tanner Boyd. What a game Tanner Boyd had last week. In the front row we have got Big Tina and Jamin Jolliffe. At hooker we've got Sam Verrills. In the back row, we've got David Fafita and Joe Simpson, and locking the scrum is Isaac Liu. On the bench, we have got X Factor Jaden Campbell, Moeki Fodawaka, Aaron Clark, and Sam McIntyre. And the reserves at 18th man, we have got Chris Randall.
Interesting to see the St. George Illawarra Dragons best 17 for the first time in 2023, isn't it? I actually like their backline. I'm a fan of every single player. I think on their day, they can be actually really dynamic. In particular, Zach Lomax, when he does turn it on, it can remain hot. I was under the impression, boys, first one to just anybody, I was under the impression that Francis Molo was actually done in for domestic violence about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm sure I saw a headline like that a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know if I'm right in saying that, but I thought he may have actually been sitting out this game because of that alleged assault. But that again, that's just allegedly, and that's just what I've read. I'm just going to give you my tip now, boys. I'm going to go the St. George Illawarra Dragons to win this one, 1-12. It's a massive call, but they've been absolutely bashed from pillar to post all off-season by every pundit in the rugby league community. I'm a fan of that back line. I think that forward pack it is on par with the Gold Coast Titans. The interchange, though, is a concern. That is a concern. But at Kogarah, I don't think the Titans will go 2-0. I'd be happy for him, but I would be surprised if the Titans did go 2-0 to start the season, both away games at Leichhardt and Kogarah. So in a close game, albeit, I'm going to go the Dragons to win this one 1-12. And I'll go, I believe I'm right in saying this, Ravalawa is lining up on Khan Pereira this weekend. So I'm going to go Michaeli Ravalawa to score an anytime try against the Gold Coast Titans. But look, Kieran Foran's been named in at 5'8" as well. I don't know. If he's going to play, and why would you risk him even more for a game in round 2, though, when apparently he has done an MCL, I believe, or a PCL. Either way, it's said that an injury like that is going to set him back 2 or 4 weeks. Why would you risk him? Why would you risk him in round number 2? So I actually don't expect Kieran Foran to play. If he does, great. But I'm going to go Dragons to win this one 1-12. What about yourself, Noah?
For me, the 6 jersey for the Titans has sort of had a bit of a curse over it the last few years. Not just the 6 jersey, but for instance, last year they had a very set plan. They wanted AJ Brimson at 6. They wanted Jaden Campbell at fullback. Jaden Campbell got injured at fullback. Brimson had to go to 6. They had to move up a lot of different players into the 6 and 7 jerseys. They had quite a few people play that 6 jersey, the Titans. They had Paul Turner at one point. Obviously, they had Brimson. I think they even tried Sexton and Boyd at one point. I wasn't too sure that worked. I'm not sure why Kieran Foran was playing. I was actually about to say that as well. I think last week he looked like he was possibly gone for judging by the way he reacted and how his leg looked, I thought it was going to be 10 weeks or more. Based on the reaction. But, I'm not too sure. I've still got no matter what, even if Kieran Foran's out, I've still got the Titans. I'm going to go 13+. I'm not big on the Dragons this year at all. I think they'll end up as spooners. But yeah, for me, Titans 13 plus. I'm going to go Khan Pereira to score 2 or more for his first try scoring sort of spree in the NRL. And for the Dragons, I like Tyrell Sloan to score.
Oh, very nicely. Okay, nice. Complete opposite to me, mate. Lockie, what about yourself? Who's winning this one?
Just to add first, you are right with Francis Molo. He has pleaded guilty to domestic violence, but it says here the matter has been referred to the NRL's integrity unit, which will wait until Molo faces court again on March 22nd. So
I really appreciate that, but why no stand down policy? I guess. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's incredible. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll go Dragons. We'll go 1-12. I've got. It'll be close. I don't see this one being the most entertaining game of the round. But anytime try scorers, I've got AJ Brimson and Jack Bird. I think Jack Bird around that ruck area, he can find himself in the best of places at times.
Nice, man. Nice. Okay. 2 Dragons, 1 Titan. Faraz, mate, where are you going?
Oh, I'm going to agree with Noah. I'm going to go Titans 13 plus. I don't know with the Dragons. And look, and it's not because I'm not just a fan of the Dragons this year. If you look at recent record, the Dragons have struggled against the Titans. I think even last year, one of the few Titans wins came against the Dragons, if I'm not wrong. So look, I think it could be close in Sydney, but saying that the Titans did win in Sydney last week, a lot of people are saying they're bottom 4. I personally disagree. I think you look at that lineup, there's a lot of youngsters coming through. They have another full season under their belt. Even though Foreign's out, I still think Toby Sexton and all that have enough quality against the Dragons. I'm going to go Titans by 18, and I'm going to go Jojo for a hat-trick. I love their center pairings and their wings. I reckon Jojo for a hat-trick.
Oh, that'd be disappointing if Fingai gave up a bloody hat trick, mate. I believe that's the right side. I believe. But just quickly before I go to Davos, mate, Faraz, I didn't get your tip. Melbourne Storm or Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs on Saturday.
I want to give the Bulldogs a chance here, but I think the Storm win. And I think they still win well. Storm by 16.
Oh, 13 plus Storm. Okay, thank you, man. Davos, final tip of the round, mate. It belongs to you. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Noah and Faraz. I'm going Titans 13 plus. I just don't rate the Dragons at all. Like Noah, I've got them from the spoon. I think the only reason that they don't win the spoon is if Ben Hunt plays absolutely out of his skin, because apart from Blake Laurie, Jaden Sewer, and Ben Hunt, I don't rate the rest of the Dragons forward. Not forward pack. They're just their whole team in general. Whereas you look at the Titans, they've actually got proven players. They've got Brimson, they've got Tino, Fodawaker. You could name them all, but I just don't rate the Dragons. I think Anthony Griffin will get sacked mid-season, and I've got the Titans 13 plus. I have got David Fifita to score. I feel like him lining up on Jaden Sullivan, I think he'll expose Sullivan defensively. And for the Dragons, I have got Michaela Ravalawa to go over for a try.
That wraps up round 2 preview. I didn't know how long it was going to go. We're going to come in just under 2 hours. I am so grateful to you blokes for giving up your time tonight. I've loved every second of it. I've loved just wobbling my jaw about footy to all of you. Thank you so much for your time again. Lockie, Noah, Davos, Faraz. When's the next Final Siren podcast coming up?
So we're not too sure on that yet. We're still trying to work out schedules for obviously each game. But we will alert all of our fans that this is where our tips for what we'd usually do tomorrow is going to be. We're not going to do a video tomorrow. We might, I think, Thursday night, we'll probably do a match preview for Rabbitohs versus Panthers, and possibly a live commentary if people want to see it. So make sure if you're not already subscribed to us, make sure to go ahead and subscribe. And we'd love to see you there.
Oh, are we going to have a beer this weekend, Noah?
I'm underage, so I can't. But I'll definitely come up and say hello.
Oh well, the bum fluff was putting me off. Then I'll buy you a Sprite Zero then, mate. We'll have a Sprite together this weekend, mate.
Sam.
But yeah, I'd love to see it. Yes, Lockie.
Will you be at Magic Round?
Yes, sir.
I'm 18, so we can have a beer together.
Alrighty, let's do it. Yeah, man. All right, no worries, man. Faraz, man. Any final words? Anything you'd like to say?
No, look, man, just always a pleasure to be back on here. Can't wait for the future collabs. You know, love being on here. Love talking footy to you, mate. This is the year of the Wobbling Jaw Sports. Congratulations, mate. Can't wait to see you grow.
Oh, thank you, Faraz, man, and all the best to you too, man. Davos, is there anything that you'd like to say? Please don't say F the Cowboys, please.
I won't say that. Look, just thanks for having us on, Sammy. It's a pleasure to collab with you, and I really enjoy watching your videos and your page, and I know that you'll only get better, and I can't wait for more future collabs with you. So I appreciate you allowing us to be on here, mate.
How much did you pay you, Davos?
What'd you say?
I would have paid to see Davos say fuck the Cowboys, but
No.
that's just me.
No,
You don't
I'll
need to
never-
pay me. I'll say it for free.
Lockie, what would you like to say?
Fuck the Cowboys.
Oh,
That's what I would say.
But yeah, on behalf
No.
of all of us, once again, thank you so much for having us on. It was truly a pleasure.
thank you, man. Thank you, dude. Lockie, what were you going to say? Were you going to say something?
Yeah, all jokes aside, I know I'm here. I always try and make people laugh. It's free to make people smile. That's what we're here about. Our channel isn't about throwing hate out to other creators and that kind of thing. We're here to have a good time. We're here to chat footy. When cricket season's on, we'll always collab with the people that we look up to the most, and Sam is one of them. So thank you very much for having us on. We appreciate the support. We'll throw you a favour and get you on ours one day as well. But until then, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, definitely. And to everybody in the live chat, I think we've had a really consistent viewership tonight. It's been really strong. Thank you to everybody that's given this a crack. And if you are new or if Final Siren podcast may be unfamiliar to you, links to their channel will be in the description box below at the conclusion of this live stream. Please go and check them out on Instagram and YouTube. Links will be in the description box below. Thank you to them. Thank you for your time. That's round 2 preview done and dusted. I reckon it's the best one out there, just quietly. So have a very nice weekend. I'll see you this weekend, Noah. Up the Cowboys.
Go the
the
Broncos.
Cowboys. Oh, yeah. Have a good weekend, everybody. Enjoy the footy. Take care.